This is Rowena Dooley, asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
It's the morning. Before things get started, people are still asleep in their beds. The beginning of day 2. We've never done a day 2 before. But the glamorous hosting life out front is nothing compared to the draining and exhausting life behind the scenes. Let's take a tour of the production area. But nobody's here and nothing is working, including my voice. Do I have to crouch? I can't see where my head's at. When I talk to me, just go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Inside Star Citizen. For years, we have wanted to do a true behind-the-scenes look at the making of CitizenCon. We've never been able to do it, but now, thanks to the lovely assistance of Tom and David. Say hello, Tom and David.
Hello, Tom and David.
We are here at the LA Convention Center, and it is Wednesday, October 18th. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're going to take a look at the progress, or rather lack thereof. These things really do come together in the last minute, of the LA Convention Center. So let's go inside and take a look. We are here at the big lobby. You might recognize this from, all those videos you've watched before. We're heading into West Hall, which is Petrie Hall. That's the hall that we are inhabiting this week. We are here inside Hall A. This is an awfully big room. This is where the main stage will be, and the roughly 3,000 people that are in attendance to watch CitizenCon, all the presentations, the stuff that we've been working very hard on for the last several months. We are here in Hall B. This is where the main action of CitizenCon comes. This is where the community booths, the Pyro playground, the Dragonfly, the Atmo esports. Obviously, we're going to check in here in a little bit as more progresses. Running out of gas. So this is the part you never see. This is the Pyro playground before the Pyro playground. This is the room where we set up all 150 computers, plus quite a few spares and quite a few alternates. This is a massive undertaking for the first playable Pyro here at CitizenCon. These are the true heroes, the people from IT and the people from player experience.
Who are you? What are you doing?
I'm IT systems engineer here at Cloud Imperium Games, and I am setting up the Pyro playground, helping Ahmed with the servers.
Hi, Ahmed.
From my perspective, it's been pretty smooth sailing. I'm sure Miles' team has had a few surprises they've had to deal with. I'm sure Ahmed has had a few bumps as well, but other than that, we're smoothing along pretty well.
This is where we call the command center. Command center is where all the actual important people who put this stuff together, Leah, Tyler, all them, that's where they kind of hold out and they address all the different issues that come up throughout the day. We're not allowed in there because there's some people who don't like to be on video. And so we're gonna respect their privacy. But imagine a big room with tables and chairs and lots of laptops. You've seen it. We'll see if we can't bring some people out and have them tell you about what they're doing.
I'm Jake. I'm a community manager for Star Citizen and Squadron 42.
We are here at the Los Angeles Convention Center for CitizenCon 2953, the first in-person CitizenCon since 2019.
It's exciting, honestly, and I can't wait to see what it looks like in a few more days.
I think it's going to be double in size of what we had before, so this is going to be super amazing.
But today's the first day we're kind of all in the convention hall, putting everything together, and just seeing this stuff come to life is very, very cool so far.
Construction has begun, so it's we're starting to see things take shape, which is really exciting.
It feels crazy to walk in there and see how massive the space is when you first walk in there. It's very echoey, it's very big. So during CitizenCon, I'm actually the interstitial host of the Twitch stream. So my co-host is Jared. He's fine. You know, his writer is really intense. You know, like the single trailer just filled with beef sticks is a little much, but like, you know, it's Jared, we let him be.
So it's day 2 of setup. We're starting to recognize the things that we've only seen in concepts leading up to the big show. And so I think it's just super exciting for everybody to see it all finally coming to life. So I'm part of the core event leadership team that's been planning this event for many, many, many months. And I can't tell you just how rewarding it is to see everything coming to life. I think for a lot of us, we're just as excited, if not more, than the attendees for CitizenCon.
We've had a number of technical issues, not uncommon to a big event like this. The severe power issue that took about 6 hours to track down, which we finally resolved, but it set us behind. So we're now just going to test our first content on the screen. I believe we're going to start with Ram.
Audio can play a crucial role in the immersion.
Ram is the only pre-recorded video, so he'll be a good test for sync because we're going to see if the sound that comes out of the speakers matches the words that are coming out of his mouth.
My name is Michael Smith, also known as Bayor. I'm the director of the player experience team, and we are setting up the Pyro playground right now. This one room, which is one of 2 rooms, is bigger than I think we've ever done with CitizenCon. We have 150 computers behind me, complete with all their mice and keyboards. 10 of those are set up with some VKB peripherals, left and a right stick. We also have Tobii eye trackers on 100 of the PCs.
It's allowing people to try it out if they haven't already, and they're able to experience, increased immersion in Star Citizen.
I'm sort of responsible to make sure that the demo that the players get to experience here is playable, it's fun, that it transitions pretty smoothly for each of the little sessions they get to play, and just understanding that gameplay experience.
We're here in the LA Convention Center. It's chaos, as always, but good chaos. In 2018, we built a full-size Dragonfly for Austin CitizenCon. Chris Law from the ship team has done a whole new skin. The Dragonfly initially took 3 months to build. It's taken 4 or 5 days to repaint it, and it'll take us about 3 hours to put it back together. We built the Dragonfly for you guys to actually come and sit on. It's a great photo op. If you're here at CitizenCon in the flesh, you can come on, 1 or 2 people can sit on it, as inverse, forward, backwards, whatever you like. So you can come here, get a photo, memories forever.
Okay. I'm gonna be a TikTok star.
Ready, go.
Drake.
As we walked in for the first time today, we could see our 30-foot banner.
Atmo is actually here to bring a live tournament experience to CitizenCon. We're very excited. This has been 6 very hard years from the demo rally to Atmo Esports to actually come for the first time at the CitizenCon and put together a live tournament experience, not only for the fans, but for the competitors and the creators that are going to be competing. And I know when they come here, they're also going to be pretty impressed with what we've done to put together here.
You know, for me, it's been 4 long years without us being able to connect with our community in person. And I really can't stress just how much it means to us to be able to spend time with our audience in person. I think with any live event, and we've done a lot of these CitizenCons, there's always fires that have to be put out. Comparatively, though, things are going pretty smooth this year. And I'm probably going to regret saying that in like 15 minutes when one of these walls falls over on me.
When we're coming together in events like this, can actually, you know, connect faces and handles, and it's kind of like coming together as a family again.
Being able to put faces to a lot of the names that I interact with on a day-to-day basis, I think honestly is the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to the most.
Being able to talk to backers and people who played the game directly was amazing.
It was super rewarding, just the conversations that I had with a lot of our backers, both at the event and also the kind of after party.
Hall B was really cool. I remember first seeing it on the Friday morning before it was even finished and just being so impressed with all the dressing in there.
There's so much cool stuff to show. I want to make sure it all gets to be shown. And so that's my biggest worry, is that we're not going to have time to show all the cool stuff.
There was like a meet and greet area, the esports stuff was there. It was quite cozy, which was a nice feeling.
First moment on stage kind of sank in a little bit of how large an event it was going to be.
Once you actually get ready to go on stage for real, that's when the nerves kick in.
Being the only person on stage with that many eyes on you was very new and very scary.
Hello everyone, I'm Will Hain. I'm here to talk about water in Star Engine.
I was having a good time, but watching it back, I'm talking really fast.
We were excited, the crowd seemed to be buzzing from what we were showing, and yeah, just lots of positive energy, I think.
We got a lot of positive feedback from the crowd. There's a lot of big cheers.
It was, in a way, all this build-up and then it was over.
It kind of was a bit of a blur.
Then obviously a huge sense of relief once I was actually done.
Seems to have been well received, which has been really great.
I'd definitely do it again, for sure.
Hi everybody! Welcome everyone to
CitizenCon 2953.
It works!
Phone? You go ahead, phone. Phone, can you keep zooming in?
Thank you for joining us for CitizenCon. Come back tomorrow. We are here with members of the vehicle team.
We've been working on this for so long, and seeing the reactions of people in the auditorium is going to be something that I'm going to carry with me, probably for the rest of my life.
Thank you guys very, very much.
That's a little bit about the behind the scenes of CitizenCon, how that gets put together. So I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with normal shows next week. So from CitizenCon on the show floor, while everybody else is cleaning up and I'm doing this, this is Jared Huckabee saying thanks for watching. And I was going to say see you in the verse, but that was the old show. Oh, thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you. We'll see you all here next week. Forgot my catchphrase, man.
Salutations, greetings, and salutations. This is episode 224 of Soul Citizens, Hype, and Hopium. Hype and Hopium. And my guess is that after that, you feel the hype. But we don't want to feel it alone. We want to come together, and that's what we're doing tonight. I am SeriousFun, Captain SeriousFun if you're nasty, the big black gamer. And I am here with two of the best people I know to discuss this topic and anything, really. Let's begin with a JadeStarwatcher. Jade, how are you?
I am doing well. Just came from the 3.24.2 PTU special new event, Save Stanton, and yeah, I'm ready.
It's all happening. It's all happening right now. And AbdiYohan, Soul Team member, CitizenCon 2953, partner in crime with me. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm super stoked for the state of the game. So, I don't know how I couldn't be any more stoked after that surprise drop yesterday, but here we are talking about hype and Hopium.
That's right. Good stuff. Well, thank you all for being with me, not only Jade and Abdi, but those of you here on Discord and in the chat. Don't forget that you can use your Soul Citizen point. It only takes one to ask a question and put that in the Q&A, and we can go over that at the end. Just want to remind you all of that. And we want to say thank you to Griffin Gaming RPG, who is producing this thing in the background. We're always thankful for the work that he does in not only executing the show, but in show prep as well. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. The way that CIG talks about CitizenCon is thus. They say CitizenCon is back and better than ever. 2954, touching down at the Manchester Central Convention Center on October 19th and 20th. This extraordinary two-day event brings the pan-galactic celebration of our incredible community to Manchester, England, and to Twitch and to YouTube. Don't forget that. Building on last year's phenomenal show, CitizenCon 2954 promises to be an even more expansive and immersive affair, and a place where we can once again come together to share our victories while looking forward to an ever brighter tomorrow. Strap in, pilots, backers, enthusiasts, and prepare yourself for an interstellar adventure you'll never forget. If there was ever a CitizenCon not to miss, it's this one. The countdown starts now, and we got 5 days, 9 hours, and 9 minutes to the beginning. Just to get started with that, Abdi, how does that video, how does that build up, how does that make you feel given where you are in the journey of this project?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Thrakazog, for the 38 months subscription there. Whoa, Lord of the Drip.
Wow.
Gifting 10 tier 1 subs to the community. 07 to you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
Yes.
Yeah, so the video, man. So last year was my first CitizenCon in person. And I got to be there with all of you, BBG or I'm sorry, it's Captain SeriousFun and that's my bad. And Griff
Call me
and
whatever.
Yo-Yo Meg and Go Mob and everybody. And it was such an inspiring experience. I'm one of those type of people where I'm a graphic designer. I work in event design. I do that kind of stuff. So I love seeing the behind the scenes, like the anticipation where you got the stress and the build up, and then being able to see it come to fruition and happen. It's exciting to see it happen, and there's something about seeing that makes me excited for this year. I'm not going this year, but I'm excited for everybody who is, because I feel like it's going to be an amazing time just from the things we've seen, the maps, the layout, the schedule. So I'm stoked to get into it today.
Outstanding. And Jade, talk a little bit about, if you would, about that video, about the description of this year's event, and how you're reacting to that, given where you are in this project and on this journey.
Yeah, I mean, that video to me, like, really, it almost builds additional hype for this year's. I just look at the scale of these events. Each year, almost year after year, they keep getting bigger and bigger. I know that it was announced that this year there's going to be 5,000 people. I think it was, what, 3,000 last year? Right? Something like that?
Somewhere in there,
Yeah.
3,000,
Yeah.
3,500, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, and that was double the year before, right? These events keep getting bigger and bigger as we get closer to an eventual 1.0 release. And what's amazing to me, I wasn't at CitizenCon last year. For people that don't know, I wasn't there. But, from what I've heard from the other members of the Soul Citizens team who were there, the amount of time these developers take and spend with people in the community, they're just as excited about us seeing what they've developed as we are about seeing it, right? Like, that to me is the essence of this event. I mean, you can watch it on stream, and that's how I've always experienced it. I've yet to attend one in person, but I feel like that extra layer of interaction is part of what makes this event really special. And seeing how it's all put together and just how much work has to go into it in such a short period of time. It's like they don't have months to prepare this at the venue, right? That they have months to prepare it on paper, but then they've got to put it all together, in a fairly short period of time at the venue. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, there's two things that stood out. One was and I was at CitizenCon 2953 as my first CitizenCon to attend live. And people ask me, well, what is the difference, if any, from all the years of all the CitizenCons and watching and receiving and still having those shared moments of revelation and reveal and shared connection. It's the difference between doing that. My dog's coming in the room. Hello, puppy. It is the difference between doing, having a Zoom meeting and having a meeting in person. All that stuff that they would say about, 85% of communication is nonverbal and body language and being in each other's presence. But for me, it was additional things like people coming to the Soul Citizens booth and saying, I've been watching you all for years. Thank you for doing what you do. Making sure that they got in front of Fastcart and got in front of Griff and let them know, how valuable bringing Soul Citizens together as a community was. And then to Jade's point, Griff had me. He's like, go get those developers and bring them to the table, right? Because we were having them sign something on behalf of Star Jump Grim and a partnership between us and Grim and Soul Citizens, and I didn't know these folks from Adam, right? I had seen them for 10 years, but I didn't know them, right? And so it was weird to go up to them, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just lean into it. And every single developer, every single executive every single member of CIG that we asked to come to the table was like, yeah, happy to, and just walked right over. We engaged with everybody: Aaron Roberts, Brian Chambers, Todd Pappy. I mean, you can go on, and that to me spoke so much because their reaction could have been different. It could have been jaded. There could have been like an exasperation. There could have been a lot of different reactions that they had, but instead it was this authentic seeking to connect, right, and excited to connect. And that for me stood out. Those two things stood out for me more than anything else. Let's jump into the meat and potatoes of tonight's episode, and that is, we can't go through the meat and potatoes until CIG does what they've done, which is to give us a schedule of events, right? This is going to begin with the venue opening at 9 a.m. local Manchester, UK time, and that is like 2 in the morning, right, for you, Jay?
Yeah,
3
it's gonna
a.m.
be
for me.
Yeah, 9 a.m. for me is like 1 a.m.
Yeah,
yeah.
something crazy like that. So the event itself will begin at 3 for folks on the West Coast time. I think it's around 6 for the folks on the East Coast. Don't hold me to that, but it's something like that. It's 11 o'clock local time, and it begins with Brave New Worlds. And I'll read this one, but we'll each take a turn as we go through the schedule, reading what these panels are, and then let's talk about them. The first one is Brave New Worlds, right? So they're starting the show with Brave New Worlds, right? What does that mean? Well, they tell us that means introducing Genesis, the innovative suite of technologies and processes within Star Engine that breathe new life into truly immersive worlds, achieving the fidelity and scale required to fill an entire universe. Abdi, how do you react to that?
It gives me level up feels from last year's intro, where last year we started with that Star Engine demo that so many of us have seen multiple times, that we've seen Asmongold and all sorts of people watch and be inspired by. I remember being in the audience for that and just being like hyped like hell whenever I saw, a quasi grazer or the whale, the space whale, or whatever it was, and just being completely captivated by that. And to think that this goes a level above Star Engine, that this seems to be something that brings Star Engine together with all the other processes and tools that they use to make Star Citizen, to make Star Engine come to life. I'm so curious just to see what they're able to put in here. So yeah, I'm very curious to see the progress. The things I'm hoping to see are things that are not like years away. I'm hoping to see some like very very
around the corner, right?
Around the corner aspects that are like, what, this is really cool technology, and it is soon to be in your hands. So I'm hoping to see some of that, because there's a decent amount of things from Star Engine that we saw in the Star Engine video last year, like the destructible environments, the farming, the quasi grazer, the space whale, all that stuff that we haven't seen in game yet, and that's okay. Part of these events is like what we're talking about, hype and hopium. Like where some of these things are to get us excited for what's to come, to get us to invest in what we hope to happen in the future. But at the same time, I'm hoping for some of that. This is what's happening now or in the near future stuff.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Go ahead, Jade. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I feel the same way in that, I think I feel better if 70% of the stuff is, and you're going to see this in the next patch, right? And 30% of the stuff is, here's the vision, right? I would feel better if that's where we are in the project. But Jay, go ahead. Talk to me about Brave New Worlds and your take on that.
So yeah, just speaking to things like the quasi grazer, like we know from, I'm part of Evocati, and we actually had the quasi grazer in 4.0. In fact, there was a challenge for any of us who found one to transport it to Pyro. So I spent 2/3 of the Evocati test not jumping through the wormholes, but actually looking for quasi-grazers on Mycotech and Hurston. But it's back to this. I am very impressed simply by the name of this, Genesis. Yeah, with CIG, everything now is star this, star that.
Yeah.
This is so important and perhaps profound that they decided to not even go with that name convention and call it Genesis. And what that tells me is that this may be something that refers not only to like Planet Tech V5, we may hopefully see Tony Zervik back, and now they're calling Quantum Star Sim. Hopefully, we get some information on that. As far as that being a process within Star Engine, like breathing new life, or to breathe new life into immersive worlds. I think of the dynamic economy and NPCs doing things and achieving the fidelity and scale required to fill an entire universe. I'm thinking of what they talked about with the Planet Tech, perhaps using machine learning. So there's a lot of things just in that short description that really excite my mind in terms of directions that this presentation could take.
Yeah, there's so much little phraseology and language, I agree with you, that makes you go, wait, what? What are we doing? But I can tell you that my initial reaction, and this is held as an abiding reaction to Brave New Worlds, it goes all the way back to something that I saw when I was 12 years old. And when I was 12 years old, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan came out. And in that movie, it's centered around a planet-creating device called Genesis, the Genesis device. And the way that Dr. Carol Marcus in the movie describes to the Federation what it is, she says, what is Project Genesis? Well, it is life from lifelessness, right? And so a lot of these cats are my age who are doing this project. We were Gen Xers.
Oh, yeah.
And so it would not surprise me if, Jade, they were ticking the boxes of this evolution of Star Engine, right, that Abdi's talking about, and they were going deeper on Fidelity, Planet V5, Planet Tech V5, and all that other stuff. But it was really this idea of that last phrase, fidelity and scale required to fill an entire universe. And that is a play on this idea of the Genesis device or Project Genesis from what is probably, inarguably, the most popular Star Trek film out of the original series Star Trek franchise, right? So they got me with that if they were trying to get me with that, right, from the beginning. Brave New World. So that is how they're going to open the show, right? And to Abdi's point, we got Star Engine, and Star Engine was this thing that not only blew us away, but we knew was going to blow away people who weren't even with the project yet. And so I am very interested to see if they're going for that same type of energy with Genesis. To brand it that way means that they're going to take it somewhere, right? It's going to do something. So I'm very interested in that as well.
Just in terms of like event just real quick, just in terms of event design, you always want to lead with something that gets, and again to the point of the show, you want to start with something that gets people hyped. I would be very surprised if the first thing that they do at CitizenCon is bring a person out to talk about something, rather than show something. So I for Brave New Worlds, I would just get ready to see something and to be wowed by it for sure. And man, I'm stoked for that.
Absolutely. Jade, the next panel. So that's a 2-hour panel, or it's an hour and a half with maybe a break in between, because we know we saw breaks in between panels. But that's a lengthy panel where it look like they're going to be covering a lot. But then at 1 o'clock local time, we get a social universe. Can you share with us what that's about?
Sure. It's the people you meet and the bonds you form that truly bring the verse to life. Dive into how we're evolving social features to maximize your adventures, from personal one-on-one interactions to massive gatherings with hundreds and even thousands of players.
A social universe. And what do you think about that, Jade? What when you read that, how do you process that one?
I process it in terms of the things I hope, and also the original vision of Chris Roberts when he says that this is a social game, and he's compared it to being a space second life. I know that we're, going to have base building and things like that. I also think of org features. I think back to his presentation, I believe it was at CitizenCon 2018 or 19, where he put organization system 2.0 as one of the pillars, along with things like, OCS and server meshing as being one of the things that they considered a pillar. And we haven't heard anything about a new organization system within the game for, us to be able to interact and have org banks, maybe org hangers, who knows? Like all these things that will facilitate more reasons for people to log in with their friends, with their org. So that was the other thing, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Abdi that you start with the thing you think is going to wow most people most of the time, but then if you're building a great event, you want a 1-2 punch. Right?
Yeah.
And this has the potential to be a real 1-2 punch. Abdi, what do you think of when you see a social universe?
I think of that episode of ISC that happened recently where Jared got, or was it ISC? No, it was SEL. It was SEL, where Jared got right up in that dev's face and was like, "What do you mean by org tools?" And that dev was like, "I don't know." And the tension was palpable. And I know that people have been hankering for a way to be able to talk to people in their orgs, a way to organize their orgs, a way to organize events in game, so that we're doing less of the I'm in Discord, I'm in some other thing extracted from the experience of Star Citizen. Because when we talk about this game, we talk about immersion. We talk about being invested in it. But when I watch so many streamers, and that's not me myself, for some reason, in-game VoIP and FOIP has always worked very well for me. But when I watch other people, I've seen them struggle with being able to talk to, like, hey, there's this person over here, I want to say something to them, and they try using their mic, they walk right on by. Like that kind of stuff where we're not actually engaging. I'm feeling like this is something to, like, hey, we hear you. This is what we're working on to bring people together in new ways. And I'm really hoping that we're just going to see more and more forms of being able to organize our fleets, organize our people, organize our comms in a better way, because it all feels very antiquated at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. The one of the things for me is social features, right? It sounds like that can be tools, but it also sounds like that can be experiences, right? What can happen in game that encourages me to use tools and stuff in game, right? That keeps me in game, immersed in game, right? That's going to have to be something very different than what we have now. And I really was blown away by the commitment to this idea, from personal one-on-one interactions to massive gatherings with hundreds and even thousands of players. We know on the one end that we have had server meshing tests that go to 2,000 players, right? But what does it mean to have those intimate interactions in game and the tools and features to do that with just other people, small groups, right? Very, very interested in this particular one. And I did see Gladestone in the chat say to Abdi, you do realize most will still use Discord as a tool to chat with each other. My hope is that CIG takes that as a challenge, right?
Absolutely.
You know, and says, how do we create an environment where people want to use what we've built in game because it contributes to immersion, right?
I know we're running behind, but I just got to say, when I think back to some of my most influential moments in Star Citizen, it wasn't because most of them aren't happening in Discord. Most of them are happening because a person saved me in the verse when I typed in chat that I need a rescue, or somebody in Xenothreat was like, my ship got blown up, I need a pickup, or this or that, and I use in-game chat to talk to somebody one-to-one. All of a sudden we're friending each other in Spectrum, we're talking to each other and creating true moments of interaction that can't happen when you're not in the same Discord server. And I think that Discord is great. I'm not blasting Discord. I'm just saying the ability to be able to have conversations with people in game will give you an experience that is very different than what you have when you're choosing somebody to talk to and have a group with. You can't have these interesting moments of this just popped up and we're going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not in Discord with 90% of the people that could be on the game. Right. So automatically, I can't have Discord quality interactions with people unless there are tools in the game to do that. They're not all going to be on my Discord, right? So now what?
And in a place like Pyro, you want to be able to say to that stranger, "Hey, I'm friendly. Look, I'm not got my gun out. Don't shoot me." Right?
Hail target. Hail target.
Yeah.
There's a keybind for it that I've never used.
And there's just real quick, there was one thing I want to mention about this was I had made a post on Reddit, and there was a response from Sean Tracy that said there's something interesting, and the post I made had to do with FOIP, and he said, yeah, there may be something interesting at CitizenCon, that is to do with this subject. So I would think that something interesting would be in this section.
Can you put that Reddit link in chat? I want to read that.
I can. It's a deleted post, but
never mind. Don't do it.
His response is still there, but the post itself was deleted
no worries.
by the mods on Reddit. So yeah.
Okay. No worries. Sorry, my bad.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
Never mind. I didn't realize. My bad.
Let's keep going. Abdi, can you read the 2954 cosplay competition?
2954 cosplay competition, a fan favorite event returns where Star Citizen enthusiasts from around the verse showcase their most impressive game-inspired looks.
Yeah, and this is sponsored by Toby of Toby Eye Tracker fame. And what's excited, this is one of the sponsors of the event, and Jade, you have heard some interesting things about the quality of the competition this year.
Yes. So I have heard, and this is just rumor that there's going to be some stiff competition this year in the cosplay contest, and it's no surprise. I mean, every year it seems like people get more creative. They definitely, get more skilled at some of these outfits and things that they craft. And, I know that once 3D printing became a thing that took things up another level. And there's a lot of people now that really look forward to this cosplay convention. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. People.
It's so inspiring, the things that people come up with.
Yeah.
I'm very stoked to see it.
Yeah, I was committed to this year just to the idea of getting a cargo astronautics shirt with a bomber jacket with Invictus on the back.
Wow.
And a
monocle?
Yeah, the monocle from the High Admiral thing. and
yes.
Getting up on stage. I had big dreams at this time last year. I had big dreams, and I just didn't get to it because you want to do it at a certain level of quality, right?
Yeah.
And I just was not able to pull it off. Maybe
that MPUV bomber jacket, I would get one of those.
You like that one?
Yeah, that one. I would get one of those. The MPUV bomber jacket. You got me thinking about that. I wonder how much it would cost to get one of those made. Ooh.
Well, and I was blown away last year by seeing some of these things up close, right? Like the
Mhm.
fidelity holds up, so it's not just at a distance, right? I was very impressed. So super excited about that. I'll read the next one just because we want to keep it moving. We're a little bit behind. Dress to kill. Dress to kill. From high fashion to dynamic function. Discover Starwear, an exciting new character-focused specialization that lets you define your identity and take on the challenges ahead, including the return of a legendary friend from CitizenCon's past. So, Jade, when you hear that one,
Yes.
I
When I hear
had to go
that
to you
one,
first. It was Abdi's turn to go first, but because it's the
no,
high fashion piece, I had to go to you first.
yes, when I hear that one, I think of the immortal words of the great poet Lizzo. It's about damn time.
It's about that time.
It's about damn time. No, for real. For people that don't know, I am a mod on the Star Citizen Ladies Night Out Discord, and this has been a subject that we've had, a hot discussion about where's the high fashion in Star Citizen. Where are the cute things? And a lot of us we're being very cautious with this because we've been disappointed in the past. But I am a very hopeful person, and I think that we're going to see some really interesting new fashion, or at least I hope so. But they also said from high fashion to dynamic function, and I think that may tie in more with some of what we saw last year with the detachable, pouches and things like that. More things that we can detach and customize, our outfit or our armor for, multiple uses. Starwear. Again, we got star added to something. Just doing that makes me like super excited because it means that it was a priority, right? They've given it a name. That means that fashion is a priority, and everybody knows for any MMO, what is the end game? Fashion. So I am very happy with that. Anything that involves being able to customize your character, and character customization doesn't just end with creating the character. It's what that character wears in different situations, and not just for role players, but for people to just represent themselves, whatever their identity they want to express in the game is. All of that. I love this for all the people who've been waiting for a lot more choice and diversity.
Yeah, I can tell you that, and I'll go really quick. Abdi, did you get a chance to talk on this?
No, that's okay, but you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead first. Sorry.
Well, I will just say I am no stranger to fashion. I'm a Destiny 2 player, and Destiny 2 fashion is a hashtag you'll see of mine on stream or on Twitter. I love being able to customize my characters, get my clothes right, get my look right, get my colors right. Transmogs in Destiny 2 world are a big thing. So like really excited to see what they're able to do with this. The things that I'm really most hoping for are the ability to like save a loadout in a locker or some sort, like the changing room things. If they could get those changing rooms coming right, like where you can actually just quickly put on your set that you made, and then instead of having to redo all that all the time, I'd be super stoked to see that kind of innovation. So much of what, like when people come back to Star Citizen having not played it in a while is the quality of life changes, and I feel like a big quality of life change would be, if I was able to save, whether it be an armor loadout, a clothing, like if Jade was able to make a really cool fit that isn't just like all of these clothing items match. It's a fit that she made that is her own, and that she can save that and then be able to quickly get into a dressing room and quickly get out of that and have it on. That kind of stuff would be huge. So yes, Ice, I need the same red color. Ice was on my stream the other day. All of my reds are different, and it's killing me. It's killing me. When you say dark red, just make it the same dark red, please.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so I'm excited to see what they're able to make happen here.
Yeah, let me just jump in really quick and say um, I am less hype and more hopium here. And my hope is that stuff that is announced is stuff that's really, really practical, right? So, for example, I'd love to see an announcement here that says, "Hey, by the way, there's no longer a single item of clothing in the verse that can't be used by the female character as by the male character."
Absolutely.
We solved that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like that to just be solved, right? The second thing is I'd like that dynamic function piece. I'd like that to speak to physicalization and realism, right? I don't want to see my holster sidearm disappear into the pocket of a mess of a set of pants that it doesn't work for. I want consequences and choice, and everything doesn't work with everything, but you can move things around, right? I'm more interested in that than I am in the hype side, right? Because to Jade's point, part of the reason that folks are a little bit jaded about this one is that there's been hype, right?
Yep.
And
All that concept art.
Yeah, and you know, you started to solve for it, Jade, by just snatching up NPCs and taking what they have, but the NPCs wearing stuff that you can't wear, right?
Right. Yeah.
You know, so I think it's time now to just go, here's how we're delivering in this area versus projection. But you know, I'll take whatever they give, but that's what I'm hoping for, right? Is a little bit more practical stuff. All right, let me read this one. This is where they're going before we get to the other section that we'll talk about. But this is called Beyond Pyro, and this is an hour long. To the fantastic reaches beyond Stanton and Pyro, join us as we explore the exciting new frontiers of Star Citizen's persistent universe. Beyond Pyro. Abdi, your thoughts when you see that?
It better not just be Nyx. We gotta see more. We gotta see more. We've been seeing Nyx for a long time. I want to see Nyx, but Nyx has got to be so close that they can't spend too much time on Nyx. They got to show us things that we haven't seen before. That's what I want to see. You know, are they going to bring in Magda? Are they going to bring in Terra? Are they going to bring in, I don't know, someplace we haven't even heard of yet? Whatever. Like I'm excited to hear about that. And so many people talk about this. The idea that how will Star Citizen bring in 100 star systems in its life? You know, how are they going to be able to do that before 1.0 or whatever, some random whatever this or that? And I think we all know they're not going to bring in 100 systems before 1.0. But what is their new idea? What is their new thinking? What is their new goal for what they want to have done? And I know talking about 1.0 and beyond is another panel, but I want to know what their scope is for what we can expect in the near future in terms of systems, because right now we're all speculating so much because we just don't know. But hopefully we can expect a few more in the future. And we know that the Montreal team is hard at work making new systems. They're kicking it out of the park. They always do great work. But it would be really fun to be able to showcase and see what they've been working on. And man, this is one I'm like, that's going to be 1 hour of me saying, nobody talk, nobody talk. I'm listening.
Everybody be quiet.
Everybody shut up.
Well, what's interesting about the stretch goals is that they haven't walked away from a single one of them, right? They have not walked away from a single one of them. They've delivered several of them, and they haven't said on any of them, we're not doing that, right?
Right.
And so, for me, I think that question of how we're going to approach giving us the fullness of the universe, right? And how do you do it in a way that has pace? I can imagine that being part of this section. It is a different panel than the 1.0 panel, right? And so this is a place where I do have room for going beyond what's coming around the corner, although I want to hear some of that, but also projecting out what the plan is and how they're going to do it. Jade, how do you react to Beyond Pyro?
I react to Beyond Pyro first by thinking, yes, I finally get to see my old home of Nyx. But
remember Anthony Tanaka.
Yes,
Right,
remember
yes.
Anthony Tanaka. And
Yes.
I hope when we get Nyx, we actually do celebrate Anthony Tanaka Remembrance Day in the universe, December 10th. Anyway, beyond Nyx, though, as speaking to what Abdi was saying, I do hope we get to see, like, is it Magnus? You know, do we get to see Magnus?
Oh, that's
Could
what I
we?
meant. I'm sorry, I said Magda. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I think everybody knew what you meant. Castra, Castra's a fascinating system because it connects to both Nyx and Pyro, and it's the home of Cascom, which is a UE, very UE safe kind of place. So maybe this would be
And
a
Sherman
more
is
high.
incredible.
Yeah, and Sherman as a city landing zone is incredible. This would be a really good system to be a high security system, maybe before we get Terra. And then like Kano, which is a fairly simple system that is connected to Pyro. That might be another one. I'm just speculating here, but I'm here for it. I can't wait to see what's going to be in this.
Well, and Tyler, and then just today, was it today? What's today? Yesterday, just yesterday, Jared have contributed to the hype for me, right?
Stoking the fires.
Yeah, Tyler in the run up to the whole planning that CIG was doing for CitizenCon was like, he was gonna be the best one yet. And Jared yesterday was like, listen, I tend not to do this, but guess what? I'm seeing things where, it's going to be some of what you think, and a lot of these are going to be what you're not thinking. I'm like, well, I'm like, I am solo, I can imagine quite a bit, right? So, I'm looking forward to, and that's the quote unquote danger, right, of hype and Hopium, which is, for those of you who've been around a long time, you know that we got a walkthrough of Terra, right? And for those of you who were like, how come we don't have this game yet? Go find that video, because that's what the game would have looked like, right? Is that Terra walkthrough, right? And that would not have been satisfying in 2024, right? So, but we had a moment where we were beginning to see that, right? Where there was a vision for that. And so I am, my hype and Hopium meters are not only Nick's, to Abdi's point, right? We've been to Levski. We want Levski back, right? That's
Yes.
getting back to something that we had before. But Nick's is a bigger system than just Delamar and Levski, but we've had some of that. I want to see Terra. I want to see Magnus. I want to see Castra. I don't want to see stuff that's ostensibly going to be Squadron 42, which is like Odin and things like that. But I want to see stuff that hopefully the Montreal folks have been working on, or Boundary 42 and Frankfurt has been working on, right? So super excited about that. Let us, we are back on track in terms of our timing, and that's good because we get to spend good time now on this next one. Good time on this next one. Now, this is Redacted. And I think it's important for us to describe to the audience what we see here, right? We see Redacted. We see it in relatively disciplined stencil, right? We see UEE stamping on this, UEE stamp. We see other markings that connote, for me, that connote the idea of a military or militia sensibility here, right? This is not a soft graphic, right? This is a hard, harsh, delineated graphic. Feels very UEE Navy. Even
Serious
though
fun. I just gotta stop you. I feel like the FBI should be scouting Star Citizen players for being able to like read and interpret code. The things that we can find that like devs try to hide, they can't hide anything from us. Like we will analyze one JPEG to like infinity. It's like everything you're saying is absolutely right. Like you're absolutely you're spot on with all of it.
We're coming. We are focused, right?
Absolutely.
But Jay, when you see Redacted here, and this will go for who knows how long, right? This begins at 5:30 local time. The venue closes at 9 is all we know. We know we're not going to go till 9. But this looks like it'll go as long as it needs to go. What do you think Redacted is?
A playable demo of Squadron 42.
Wow. Okay, so let's break that down a bit, because what we don't have up here is the map of the venue. And what we know in the map of the venue is that we only see 2 what they call sim pits, right? Down at the bottom left of the venue. Do you think that there's another room that they haven't revealed, a la the Pyro playground, that they will share with us when the time is right, that people can go and play the demo? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. Yeah, that would be one thing. I'm thinking with the time here, they could show like a little bit of the demo playthrough, and then basically tell the people there that there's an area that just opened where they can go try it out themselves, and that's why it would be so long, because people are they want to get as many people playing that want to play as possible before the venue closes. That's my hopium. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking, and I'm the other hopium is that at some point after CitizenCon, they would roll that demo out to backers, all of us, to be able to play the same thing that was at CitizenCon.
Okay.
I feel like that's hope. I don't know if that's hopium. I feel like that's a pretty, at this point, I feel like that's what they got to do. Because last year they showed us so much of like the crawling through the sewers, fixing something, being on a boat in Squadron 42, like being on the Bengal or the Idris or whatever. I feel like at this point it's got to be a step further, and what's the next step further? I feel like your idea of a demo that sounds kind of spot on to me. But you're right. Never like put your hopes too high.
Yes.
That they could get dashed down. But I think that makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you.
Okay. So is that your take as well, Abdi? It'll be
I think that
demo of Squadron 42.
I think that, and then my again, I don't know if this is the line of hopium or hope, but time stamping that at the end with a this is coming release window. In terms of like, hey, this is the demo. The demo is a lead up to this is the whoa! Chooch,
Wow.
Thank you so much. Yay! That's 5 tier 1 subs, gift subs. Thank you so much for contributing, Chooch.
Dude, thank you so much. Yes. So for me, this is the character of Old Man in Squadron 42 is played by a guy named Mark Hamill.
Who's that?
Mark,
I'm just kidding.
he's just a dude.
Just a dude.
And a lot of people know Mark Hamill, right? Luke Skywalker, the Joker. Some people even remember Corvette Summer, right? but there were other people who were involved in this project and did mocap for this project whose star has taken off since then, right?
That's true, yeah.
Ben Mendelsohn, Henry Cavill, right? And so for me, this section has a chance to be a lot more than a Squadron 42 reveal, which I expect that it will be, right? I expect that we will get, here's where we are on Squadron 42, and it will finish with the release date. But remember that this experience had a gala event that was going to happen, right? On the Friday night that they went away from, right? They went away from that gala event and an additional ticket. And my hype and hopium theory of the case is that part of the reason that they went away from that was where they were going to have opportunities to meet the Squadron 42. And that maybe folks like Mark Hamill and others said, wait, we're not going to get the chance to fellowship with the 5,000 people, right? And it just became easier to put them on stage with 5,000 people than it was to try and have this smaller event and this smaller ticketing. So my hype and hopium around this is not only a Squadron 42 reveal, but an opportunity to elevate and celebrate members of the Squadron 42 cast, a lot of whom, and then finally, he has walked away from, right? Right? What does
I
it
can't
say
call
in
that
the
out by memory. Tell me.
So yeah, I'm building it up.
You're building it up. I need to know.
One of the things, the last item in the $6 million stretch goal says the first Squadron 42 mission disc behind enemy lines will be available for free to all backers who pledge before $6 million upon release. My theory of the case is that not only will Squadron 42 the demo behind enemy lines be playable there, but backers will get a USB of that demo in their bag at CitizenCon, and those that backed at the $6 million level and before will get a file download of the same thing, right? And then it'll become more widely released as we approach. Let me ask you another quick question before we go to the next phase of art. Do you think that there will be an announcement of packages? Do you think there'll be one price and one package do you think Squadron 42 will go back on the store? Do you think it'll be at one price, or do you think there'll be a basic package, a mid-tier package, and a collector's package type of thing? Jade, your thoughts?
Wow, that's a good question. I think that initially it will go on with one price for like the basic package, because I think they can sell enough of them if they just put it back on sale after assuming everything that you say or everything that we've said actually happens. Playable demos, some of the people that are the cast are there. I could see them just selling tons of Squadron 42 to people here in the community first, right? Then later on, as it approaches, the actual release date, I could see them doing like the deluxe package and the collector's edition to the general public, to the general gaming public.
Yeah. Abdi, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I think if I agree with Jade. I feel like if they're putting out a demo, or if they're putting out not even beyond that, if they're putting out a release window, it wouldn't make sense fiscally or marketing wise to put out a release window without some way of people to like actually engage with that, a call to action, or something to actually attain, which would be, I think, putting Squadron 42 back in the store. If they put Squadron 42 back in the store, I don't think it'll be at whatever it was last time. I don't know what that means. But that's just my assumption. So I could see packs, I could see collector edition kind of thing, and that to me, that's the kind of thing that rolls out a launch not launch date, but like a launch plan, basically. Yeah. So like in terms of like start leading the marketing hype and starting that kind of the hype train in that way, I think that would make sense to me. My curiosity would be how the community would respond to something like that. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that would be like, this is the last thing I'm ready to spend some money because I just got so hyped. But people outside of being there in the audience and people watching, I don't know. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm not 100% sure, but I could see them doing some type of collector's edition. I think that makes a lot of sense what you said there, and especially if they're putting out a release window, which we don't know for sure. That's just my speculation. I think that it would make sense from a marketing perspective to give people something to invest in or to buy along with that. So yeah, that's yeah.
You think the $5.99 sideshow toys package of Andy Serkis Van Duel versus Henry Cavill's UEE pilot will go on sale? That's what I heard you say. Okay, very good.
That's exactly. Not only did I say that, I said that Fastcart will be buying both for me.
All right. So that again, the venue will close at 9 p.m. Right. So there's a lot happening after the redacted piece. To me, sounds like an opportunity to get something signed by Mark Hamill, but we will see how that goes. Before we go to Sunday or day 2, we wanted to take the opportunity to share with you the community elevation and celebration video. It's a short video. We were going to do that, and then after that, we'll go to a commercial, and then we'll talk about day 2.
You want me to tell you what my favorite thing about the community is?
What am I gonna say?
It's gonna sound cliche, but
they believe as much as we do.
I love them because they continue to support us.
It's the only thing that's kept me going.
I've seen a lot of games and I've seen a lot of invested players, but
they're right there with us throughout the whole process.
It's unlike anything I've ever worked on.
The thing I really like the most about the community is how welcoming they are.
To new players entering the verse for the first time.
New players come every day, and I find that
they're always happy to show people the ropes.
I found it very wholesome.
When I first did the CitizenCon, where I got to fly the Carrack, everyone was so supportive, and the cheers I got when we were flying through that wormhole was unbelievable.
Their effort they put into, like, their creativity.
Such as building a simulator inside of an entire RV or...
The cinemas, I love watching them on my lunch break.
I enjoy watching the videos on the content.
There was one recently on Twitter where it was like the 100 players entering the atmosphere that just looks really grand.
I love all the memes.
Some of the incredible fan art and passionate drive that you see come out of them is fantastic.
How they come up with crazy ideas each and every day and surprise me.
I really like all the crazy shenanigans they get up to in the PU.
I can't cuss, can I?
The new and exciting ways they find to
break shit.
Just the random stuff that you do. It's not like the gameplay we intend.
People doing crazy stunts in their ships.
I'm from the character team. That's why I think it's cool when they show off all their ships, because that's really the only time I get to see them.
They create the community by themselves, and that's really, really cool.
My favorite thing about the community around events.
Going to Bar Citizen.
It's always fun to meet some of the backers.
They've all been lovely to me in person. Even if they're like really frustrated, you can tell it's just, they have so much love for it.
I really like it when the community is very detail-oriented about our work.
To see how excited they are about our progress.
How much inspiration we get from them, from their ideas.
I love the genuine enthusiasm.
The quick turnaround on feedback. I love that.
And how they're always interested in what's coming up.
I especially appreciate the people who are able to keep track of dates.
They, call us out.
It really impacts our decision-making process for, what did we do right? What did we do wrong?
It is the most rewarding thing in the entire development process.
We're not making the game alone. We're making it with the community.
Still keep faith in us.
They really do make all this possible. I'm living the dream. We all are.
My favorite thing about the community, it'd be impossible for me to narrow it down to one. And if somebody said you had to, I'd probably just turn and walk away.
We are in an ad break, and this ad break is about a minute long. And if you're still hearing me, that means that you're a supporter of Soul Citizens, and we want to say thank you. We're super appreciative of you making the decision to take any amount of your resources and support the building of beloved community that is Soul Citizens. It's been several years now that Fastcart and Griff launched this project. And when I found them, I was looking for a space and place that was diverse and representative of my own background as a lifelong gamer, but also projected the idea of a hopeful future for that type of community. And when you support us, you allow different growth and a different projection of that community for more and more people more of the time. And so just super appreciative of you all doing that and very thankful. So I don't know if we're back. Are we back?
We are. We're back.
Please like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, subscribe, follow, and all that stuff. So I talked about this idea of a 1-2 punch, right? And day one, woo! Day one is hitting. Maybe we won't talk in terms of violence. Maybe we'll talk about how the French kiss you on one side and then on the other. that first loving kiss on the first side, and now we're about to get the second one on day 2.
Goki, thank you so much for that subscription.
Yeah.
11 months. Amazing.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you. And day 1 was called The Universe We Create. Day 2 is called The Destiny You Forge. Right? The Destiny You Forge. Abdi, can you read the 10 o'clock panel that launches day 2? Can you read that for us?
Yeah, it's called Crafting Your Home. Explore the fundamentals of crafting and base building, including how they combine to enable new opportunities for players and ultimately create the future of life among the stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that?
Man, I knew that we would get base build. Like, we've all known base building has been in promised feature in the game, or has been an expected feature in the game for a while. But last year, the way that they ended, it was day 2, right? When they showed that the Todd Pappy came out with the whole building the base thing.
Yeah.
And the crafting and all that would go into it, talking about the galaxy, the Pioneer. Nope, not the Pioneer. Is it the Pioneer?
And the
galaxy, the Pioneer. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
The Arastra.
Not just the Arastra, but just all the ships that could build a base, including the smaller, what might be a smaller ship than even the Galaxy in terms of building. So when they brought that out, it kind of took it to a level that I just never really thought about in terms of using materials. The synergy between having somebody that can go mining, getting the materials that you need, bringing it back and getting the blueprints, using those blueprints to actually make something, and that making something being, anything from a little hab, a tiny little thing, to a bigger base, and even maybe a ship, being able to craft ships. So I feel like all of that, plus the development that we have had in terms of persistent hangars, we know that they've made progress on this. So I'm really curious to know after 1 year where we're at in terms of getting to this point. To me, it's always felt like a really far off feature. But this is something where I'm cautious to bring my hope, but or my hopium, I guess, but would be something that would be really nice to have in game, because it would give us something to work towards, more than just acquiring wealth, a place to spend that wealth, and a reason to be in that thing that you have amassed wealth for, so that you can customize it and make it your own and protect it, or whatever you want to do. I feel like it completes a loop. So the closer we get to this being a reality, the better. And I'm really hoping that we see progress on that, and that this is again one of those things that isn't like this is 2 years away, but is maybe closer than we were even hoping.
Powerful, powerful. Jade, your thoughts? Crafting your home.
Yes. So I remember watching with great interest last year when they were showing base building. And I remember saying, to some people, I said, I don't think this is as far, I think I even said it on the show. I said, I don't think this is as far off as people think. And the main reason I said that was as soon as we got persistence working, immediately I thought, well, base building can't be far behind. The other thing was, it's a solution to a problem that we're seeing right now in these server meshing tests, where everybody's trying to spawn into the same hubs in these cities and stations, right? If you have people with their bases and their homes all over these different planets and moons and who knows, space stations maybe, then not everybody's going to have to log in to the easy hub at area 18, right? Or it's like I'm thinking this makes sense at this stage in the game's development for multiple reasons. And I feel like we're going to get a lot more than we got last year. Last year, what we got were some great concepts of what they were thinking of and prototyping. But I feel like this year, we may get some concrete information on not so much the when, but here is how it's going to work. Here are the vehicles that will build your base. By the way, here's one that's on sale now. You can go buy it, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think we're going to get this year.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that people thought, Jay, to your point, that this was far off was because of how Todd Pappy said R&D will begin Q1 of next year.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the language that he used. And that made me think, okay, well, if you're just starting to look at this, right, then, I'm not even thinking about it. Right? I'm not even thinking about it because I'm not going to see that for years.
Yeah, I think R&D can sometimes sound. I mean, most people think of R&D as something that takes years and years, but it doesn't always have to, right? It can be something that takes a lot less time to then get to the basic implementation phase. And I don't feel basic base building is going to be everything that we were shown last year. It may be very simple, but it may be a home. It may be something that utilizes a land claim, right? Hopefully they'll bring those back. But yeah.
And no, I think that's exactly right, because we have seen that even within this project, right? How one dude who was interested in rivers went from R&D to implementation in like a quarter and a half, right?
Yeah.
Or even when they showed us salvaging and how like basic it looked when they were breaking up a bunch of little parts and then sucking it up to what we ended up getting, in terms of what the visuals ended up looking like. That came in a lot sooner from what we like the ISC that they showed to what I would have expected that they would have released in like months after that. So I think that there are some things that they can iterate on faster and some things that maybe are further along, like you were saying, Jade. I mean, we've already seen, the ability to use RMC to create a multi-tool or something like that in a vulture or whatever. Or these, you put resource in, you get something out. We've seen some of those loops come to fruition, and that plus this plus that, and then I'm curious to see how far along it's come.
Yeah, I was going to say another example of quick R&D to implementation were the original caves. We went from an ISC episode earlier, I think in that year, to then having caves that same year, and it was because it was based on what they were using for procedural space stations.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
So the one of the sentences or one of the phrases in this sentence that sticks with me is where they finish with, and ultimately create the future of life amongst the stars, right? And so what I'm hearing in that is that they don't necessarily imagine that the future in Star Citizen is in a have in New Babbage. But they imagine a broad spreading and scattering of players across the systems that they develop. And that crafting and base building will be how we inhabit those spaces and places, right? I to this point imagined something like, and Griffin Gaming RPG has talked about this idea of living in Area 18 and landing on top of my building penthouse and being there, but it might just as well be a base that I build on a alien planet in a system like that. Who knows what it'll be, but it sounds to me in that phrasing that they're trying to get us to understand that these are the systems that they're building out for us to be able to do this, and that the future will be how we spread out across the stars. Very interesting. The next panel seems to be part 2 of the first one.
Well, 1 second, Vavrick, thank you so much for those 5,000 bits. That is
Yes.
huge. 070.
That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next panel seems to be a part 2 of the first panel, right? And so this idea of day 2 being the destiny you forge seems to be a lot about what base building and to Jade's point, this isn't the R&D. This is where we're headed, right? This is now they picked a direction, right? Jade, did you want to read? Was it Jade's turn or was it Abdi's turn? I can't remember.
I think it's Jade's.
It's Jade's turn. Captains of Industry, please.
Sure. Uncover the ships and ground vehicles that will serve as your primary tools for base building in the verse. Revisit a classic and more.
Okay, so how do you think this panel will really differentiate itself from the first one? What are they saying here, Jade?
Well, I think the first panel is going to sort of be like a big update of what we saw last year when they were talking about base building. So it's going to be, these are the things, that you can put together, but even not just base building, but crafting beyond base building, right? And this will be, here's how you'll do it. These are the ships. These are the ground vehicles. And when they say revisit a classic, it's that Pioneer. Because that is a classic. What was that? 2017, 2018? I think that was introduced.
Yeah, the Matthew McConaughey. All right.
Yes. That's been around long enough to be considered a classic. So I
think
really
so.
feel that
it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Do you think
that's the next well, I guess my thought is more of a question. We have the Polaris, hopefully coming out this year. They don't usually seem to be working on more than one capital ship at a time. Do you think that this could be like the next big ship that they work on? Is that, or do you think that this is the ship that they will plan to roll out when crafting and base building rolls out?
That's a very good question, and I'm thinking that if they decided to roll this out soon, I feel like there would have been significant changes. And we already know from, the original Pioneer commercial, they already explained that, that original vision is different now, right? Maybe not the design of the ship, but what the ship does, how it functions. Now it's more going to be more of like a 3D printer for, modules and things, right? So yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's a big ship.
It's a big ship.
It's not a capital ship.
No. It's
So
a big ship
maybe-
that has a lot of gameplay with it. Or not
Right.
gameplay, but new systems and stuff. And that
Yeah.
makes me wonder if that's enough to make it feel like a capital ship. It's not just a ship with things like pew-pews that
Right.
we already have now. So I'm wondering if it needs development resources to the same amount that a capital ship might need. Because
They
I
do
feel like
have
it's
a
going
new
to wrap in. Oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say they do have that new ship team in Montreal as well.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
They're just taking a breath from the Zeus.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I would say about this, just real quick, is that it depends on if we have a vehicle that is near term going to be able to do base building, a smaller vehicle, I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
if then they'll use that to test out, the implementation, how it works with us doing all kinds of crazy things that we'll do. And then I feel like if that happens near term, the Pioneer will be that much closer. If we don't see that, then it's probably further away.
Yo, are they finally going to talk about the Expanse?
Oh, I
because
hope.
we've heard crickets on that.
Yeah, I hope.
We have the ability to mine, but in order to get the resources in which to use to craft, we need to be able to refine. I mean, we have refinery stations, but man, we just haven't heard anything about it.
That's
I don't know.
Question. I have a comment and I have a question. Industry is an important piece of language here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Abdi says we parse this stuff, right? We look at it and we spend time on it and we go, captains of industry. Why say industry?
Yeah.
Part of that is because they know that the industrial game loop is a game loop that folks have been waiting for, right? It's not just a non-combat game loop that people are waiting for. People are waiting to be captains of industry, right? They want to function in a way where they are engines and exploiters of the economy, right? They want to take something from the mining to the refining to the value chains that they might find across the various systems, and to make their way as captains of industry across the verse. So to choose this language for me also connotes the idea that this will be the beginning of understanding how people personalize and at the beginning of an industrial game loop. That's my comment. The question that I have is the revisiting of a classic misdirection, right? So I think it's easy to say they're going to come back to the Pioneer, but what other manufacturers do we think are going to be central to the industrial game loop that they'll talk about in this section besides the Pioneer, right? Do we think it's just the Pioneer, or do we think that other manufacturers will play a role in, because they say ships and ground vehicles, right? Will there be because the Pioneer is Consolidated Outland. Will Consolidated Outland have a matching ground vehicle to go with the Pioneer? What does it mean to have a ground vehicle in base building? What do you think that's going to be? Abdi.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
None Good Left says it'll be Drake. Drake doesn't have the reliability standards, None Good Left, that are required for industrial.
They'll make some good shanty towns.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
You don't want to be in a Drake base.
Do you want to live in a cargo container? Here's your Drake container home.
Wow, that brings a whole new level to Colossals. Fly in a Drake, die in a Drake, live in a Drake, get squished in a Drake, or something like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like misdirection would be interesting here, because I mean, I wouldn't know where else to put that direction, but I do know that, like, this seems to be talking about ships that help us complete the loop of base building, and I think thinking about that systemically is a really good point on your part. What's needed to do that? I mean, it's going to be a mix of ground vehicles, I think, to ferry things from here to there. It's going to be, the ability to, like you said, print tabs and put that where you want. I don't even know what to think. The only thing that I'm thinking is I'm not seeing like a vehicle discussion proper the way that I'm used to thinking of in this CitizenCon, where it's just a bunch of them talking about new ships that they're working on or new cool ships and stuff like that. But this could be the stand-in for that. So maybe this is a good time to be thinking outside the box. Things that we haven't even considered them bringing in.
I just thought of something.
Yes.
What if this? Yeah, I was gonna say, what if this segment isn't just about new vehicles, but rather all the industrial vehicles and how they all will feed in to being able to craft things to build a base. Everything from a starfarer to like your mole to salvage with the reclaimer and the vulture, all providing for the transport, the materials. We've had for a long time all these different things that you can mine, right? But there's no reason to mine a lot of them. So I could see them maybe showing like a full loop of here's all the vehicles that go into getting you the materials and things, and maybe they'll have blueprints and things like that in order to then build your base.
Marketing wise, I think that makes a lot of sense, because then you show people the loop, and people are more incentivized to buy the ships in that loop, saying, "Oh man, I'm going to need all the ships in this loop so that I can do this thing that they just showed." That would make a lot of sense to me. I think that's a really good idea.
I didn't think you would go that far, Jay, but I appreciate your prediction. RSI Orion for sale. Great job.
Oh no!
Ripsia's just perked up.
Yeah.
That's where it begins, right?
Right.
Yeah. Getting the raw materials, right? You talk about seeing something like that would be very cool, to your point, all the way through, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to take it all the way through to let us know just fundamentally that they've thought about that, right?
Yep.
Yes.
They understand, right, what it would take, right?
Yes.
And then they imagine our role in it. And then what are the ships and ground vehicles that are about that? I dissed Drake, but I could imagine a repurposing of the Drake Mule, right, for some of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or another version of the Drake Mule, because as we understand the Pioneer is going to land, it's going to expand, it's going to do certain things, but it's going to need support on the ground once it brings that fundamental piece to the ground, right? And so what's that going to look like? This is going to be a very, very interesting 2 panels, I believe, right? To Jade's point, the first one that sets the overall framework for the discussion, right? And then the ships and ground vehicles that will drive that. Abdi, to your point, the ship sales panel, this is the closest one I think we have, right? To the ship sales panel and vehicles panel. So that'll be very interesting to see what happens there. Anything else you all want to say about base building? Because to me, this is, other than the next panel we're going to talk about, this is Sunday. This is day 2, right? And they're dedicating a whole half day to this, because I think it is, as they say, the future of life amongst the stars. Anything else you all want to explore here?
Yeah, just real quick. I am even more convinced now that this whole panel may fit the vision I just said, for one reason. It could lead into the next segment. But when I think about one of the big criticisms of Star Citizen is we have all these ships and all these, sort of almost made gameplay loops, but how do they fit together, right? And I feel that's what the next segment that we're going to discuss may talk about.
Yes, well, let me read this one, because this is the next segment, and it essentially is the final segment. There is an event that we'll talk about that happens after the venue closes, but this is the last segment of the weekend for CitizenCon. The Stars, My Destination. Star Citizen 1.0. The strapline says, PvP, PvE, non-combat. What type of game is Star Citizen? If you want answers, join us as we outline a high-level overview of Star Citizen 1.0 and what our intentions are for our epic shared universe. When you all read that, how do you react? Jade, what are your thoughts?
Wow. Can you go to Abdi first? Because I want to think on this a little.
You don't get to say.
That's fine. I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good to go.
What do you think?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is when we talk about Star Citizen, and we talk about talking about Star Citizen, we talk about our hopes and dreams, and I'm talking about the Hopium and the hope and all these things because so much of it isn't here yet, and so much of it is theory crafting. So much of it is us bringing and projecting our hopes into what we want Star Citizen to be. And I think that with a game that's been in development for so long, that has had so many objectives and goals and disparate things with so many different teams sharing their vision of what they want to do and this and that, I think this is important. And I've seen other people in the community say that this might actually frustrate people because it's like that, you've been chasing it for so long that when you finally get it, is it everything you hoped it would be? And we're, like I'm saying, we're projecting so much of our hopes, our backgrounds. I play, did I play Halo? Did I play, World of Warcraft, or where am I coming from as a gamer, and what am I projecting onto my hope for Star Citizen? I think it's really important at this point for them to define what their game is, what they're shooting for, so that we can realign if we need to realign, or just to kind of get us all on the same page in this lead up to 1.0. Because I think right now there's a lot of spaghetti, and we need to kind of form it all into like a unified vision. And that'll be important. I think maybe some dreams might get dashed, some assumptions might get dashed, but I think that's important too, because you don't want people out there in left field thinking that I know what Star Citizen is, because that vision hasn't coalesced and been talked about succinctly in a while. So I think that this might be a good level setting for what we need going into 1.0. And you've said it before, they haven't dropped on a stretch goal, this and that. But I don't think that this will be them dropping, any of those ideas. But I think it will be a clarification of what they can reasonably hope to achieve for 1.0. And I'm excited to see what that is, because that'll give me an idea of what to have hope for.
Right.
Beyond my own, personal assumptions.
I think that's a powerful phenomenon, right, that you talk about, where you've got millions of backers, right? And every one of them has a vision for what this game could be. And as CIG goes from possibility to reality, some of those dreams will go unfulfilled. Some of those dreams will be maximized in a way that even the person who was dreaming didn't think about. They're like, oh, I wasn't thinking about it this way, but you're doing it even better than I thought, right? And some of them will be exactly what we thought, and some of it will be, we didn't think about that at all, right? And everybody's going to react to that differently and ultimately make a determination as to whether this is for them. And CIG has to be really careful with that, right? That's part of the reason, and Jade, we're going to come to you in a minute, but I think that's part of the reason why they emphasize this idea of outlining a high-level overview, right? That they don't want to go, they want to tell us where they're going, but they don't want to do it in a way that alienates people, right? But to your point, Abdi, they have to say something and tell people, it's either going to be this or it's going to be that, right? In some cases. And I think they want to do it in a way that goes, hey, this may not be exactly what you thought, but give it a try anyway. Or here's the reason why behind it. And here's how you still may be able to lean in. right? I think that's the tonality that they have to have. Jade, have you had a chance to think about this? What are your thoughts on this big panel, 12 o'clock?
Yes.
Right.
So I think you hit the nail on the head when you zoomed in on it being a high level overview. And for me, when I look at it, I look at 1.0. I don't see 1.0 as this is it. This is the be all end all of Star Citizen and all it will ever be for the life of the game. I see it as the beginning of it actually being a released game with, hopefully fully fleshed out features. What I see happening here, I think, and a lot of people will be disappointed with it, but I see them deciding on a handful of features to fully flesh out for that 1.0 release. And it may not be what I necessarily, want it to do in Star Citizen when I became a backer, but it will allow for them to eventually move on to what I want to do. And I feel that there will be controversy after this. I mean, there always is. Anytime there's something like this, yeah.
Welcome to our
right. Right. I mean, I think back to like when we had 3.0 coming out. It was on the horizon, and we had 3.1. This is what was going to be in it, and here's farming. It's going to be in 3.3 or 4 or something, right? I feel like this is going to be a much more sophisticated version of that with much more data based on where the game is now and the fact that back then they were still developing lots of tools to make the game, and now they're making the game with those tools and new ones that have been developed. So I feel like that 1.0 discussion, I just want to caution people to not take it as this is it. This is what the game's going to be. It's only going to be about this, and melt your ship that did journalism, like the Reliant Mako, for example. Don't melt your ships, right? Don't freak out on Spectrum.
Right. I think it's going to be the floor, for our experience, not the ceiling, right?
Right.
I think that's a salient point to make, Jade. That's a really good point.
Can I read you all something? Jade always makes good points, but it's good to emphasize that this is another one. I just want to read you something from the letter from the chairman and Chris Roberts about 1.0 and how he defines it, right? Just so we can remember this. He says, and I'm quoting, while we recognize that there is no definitive finish line in an online MMO, and that we will always be adding new features and content for many, many years to come, Star Citizen 1.0 is what we consider the features and content set to represent, quote, commercial, unquote, release. This means that the game is welcoming to new players, stable, and polished, with enough gameplay and content to engage players continuously. In other words, it is no longer alpha or early access. Right? So that is how they define, or that is how Chris defined in his letter to the chairman 1.0. Right? The high-level overview is, I think, going to be from 4.0 to 1.0, right? And it's going to be a lot of this stuff that isn't as flashy, right? To get the game stable and polished isn't flashy, right? But it's the work, right?
Yeah,
it's the work we see in every. It's the work we see in every set of patch notes, right? Across PTU and then live, right? It's that stuff of bug fixing and addressing player concerns that get raised and things like that. Enough gameplay and content to engage players continuously means, to me, Tier 0 game loops that we haven't seen before, which is why Captains of Industry becomes important to me. Base building becomes important to me. Because it's one thing to say this game loop is in, but it's Tier 0, there could be more, versus it's not even in. right? And so I think 1.0 will include game loops that we don't have yet, but that they'll probably talk about here, particularly in this area. Um, the other thing I wanted to say about this before we go on to questions, and we have a few, is I just thought it was of note that there is a broad industry-wide term for combat that's PvP, right? There's a broad industry-wide term for players engaging with the environment, PvE. When they said PvP, PvE, non-combat, right? There is no broad industry-wide term for being in this game in a way that isn't that, right? That isn't just PvP or PvE, that isn't antagonistically against something or versus something, right? And there's an opportunity I feel that CIG has to assert not only things like Star Engine and Genesis, but also the idea of what many MMOs early on used to be, which is a sort of coming together, right? An opportunity to not be versus something, but to be connected to something, to not be against something and antagonistically in relationship with something, but to be in partnership with something, right? I'm looking for opportunities not just to have a tension against the environment, but to have a synergy with other people and projects, right? What does it mean for Abdi to build his base and me to build mine next to him, right? Do we end up now being able to do things together with our shared resources that we couldn't do alone in our plots?
Captain, I told you, your Hopium can't poop on my lawn anymore, man.
Your morale is pooping on my head.
That's a good point that you brought up, because it's PvP, PvE, and then common non-combat. And when I think of some of the things like that I've been a part of or taken part in, there's a lot of things in this game that don't fall in PvP or PvE. If I'm at a party on Authie's Adventures 890 Jump, or I'm throwing a rave in an acid cave, is that PvP? Is that PvE? No, but it is non-combat. So this is a social game, to go back up to one of the earlier panels on day one. And I think this game is as much about cooperation as it is about contention. It's as much about having experiences together as it is about solo stuff. Yep.
Right, and I want to see content and features, the language that Chris uses in that letter to chairman, that amplify that, right? And that for me, and not having that, to Abdi's point, right? If they go Star Citizen 1.0 doesn't include that, that impacts how I think about this game.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And I think one thing that we need to give CIG credit for is that they do listen to the community. And if anybody has been, I mean, the difficult thing about this game is a lot of meta context of this game happens in places where not everybody is. So Twitter, Reddit, Spectrum, all these types of things. But if you've been tuned into any of it, there's been a lot of like master modes discussion about what it means to battle this or that, or tune ships for fighting this or that way. And in that discussion this year, they've been very aware of things that, like, Yogi has said that he's had to, like, not retract but pull back from, where he said like this or that. I actually don't want to quote him, because if I quote him wrong, I'm going to feel really bad. But he's made statements to the idea of what type of game Star Citizen is, and has had to clarify that on Spectrum before. They're very aware of that conversation that happens in our fandom. And I think that this will be a really good time to address some of those things in a way where they have control over the narrative and being able to talk about it. And I think it's smart to be able to have that discussion here, because when it happens on the fringes and then ends up bubbling up to some of the larger streamers and larger kind of areas, it can kind of get out of their ability to be able to address it. So I'm really curious to see what their level setting is like here.
Yeah. All right. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. Let us jump into the Q&A. We have a few questions, and I just want to make sure that I didn't lose those. Okay, here they are. Here they are. The first question comes from Fastcart FC. Some of you all may know Fastcart. He's a funny guy, a comedic genius, if you will.
Has he sent you the check? He hasn't sent me the check.
0 checks.
0 checks.
How many ship, either concept or flight ready, are you expecting to go on sale this CitizenCon? New ships, Fastcart? Concept or flight ready? I assume it's new ships, yeah. How many new ships? Concept or flight ready are you expecting to go on sale this CitizenCon? What do y'all think?
Part of me wonders, like, what's the strategy behind this? Do you want to put out a lot so that people have choice? I mean, considering that everybody plays the game differently, or do you want to kind of focus where that money goes, like into a ship that everybody's wanted for a long time? And I'm not aware enough of game, product commodification to know. I would assume that I don't know, actually. I've been thinking in circles about this for weeks, and I really just don't know. I feel like it could be more than we think. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Jade.
I think it's going to be more than we think, and I would not be shocked to see 3 to 5.
Yep, that's my answer. My answer is 3.
Yeah,
right?
I'll go with 3 or 4.
Yeah, look. Let me pose that question to you. What do you think makes sense from a marketing perspective, especially you, SeriousFun? Like you've run a business before. If you're trying to capture dollars, does it make sense to you to overwhelm people with choice, or is it overwhelming people with choice because everybody plays the game so differently? Like what makes sense business wise in terms of where people can funnel their dollars?
Well, part of it, I think, is consistency, right? I think that's probably the most important thing is that they have consistently offered concept ships in particular at CitizenCon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think continuing to do that indicates a continuity of the experience that people can buy into. If that continuity creates brand trust, right, and brand equity. So I would be consistent in doing that. I don't think that, for example, my theory that they'll offer a bunch of package variations on Squadron 42 obviates or subverts that, right? I think it makes it even more important to just be consistent on the PU side with that. And so, I try not to bring like the rumors, leak stuff to this, but it also is just the case that historically there's been that, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, now the number is the question, right?
Yeah.
Jade's not wrong in going 3 to 5. A range is probably smarter than a number, but I'm going to say 3 anyway.
I'm going to say 5. I'm going to say 5.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I think I don't know why. I think
we've got 5 and we got 3.
And I'll pick 4. I'll pick 4.
Hey, there we go.
In the middle.
The spectrum.
Right.
I love it.
Very good. Next question. Goki says, what is a panel not on the schedule you would have liked to have seen? What is a panel not on the schedule you would have liked to have seen?
StarSim. I would love to see a Tony Zurich panel. And that's assuming he doesn't appear, somewhere else in here. But I will be, I don't want to say depressed, but I will be saddened if we don't see Tony give some presentation on StarSim as part of one of these other panels, or at least a slight update, because I mean a lot of people have been really looking forward to where that is, and to go to CitizenCons, I think at least 2, without hearing anything else on it, that's going to be a bit. I don't know. It's going to unnerve a few people, I think, and yeah, that would be the one I want. What's a whole panel dedicated to Starsim?
I'm with you. I wish we could hear more
well.
about. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm with you, but I'm also with you in having that trepidation because I know that they put out that message earlier in the year where they were like, we're not sure. We're not sure. They're saying we're not working on it right now because the foundation with which to work on it is not there. Is that what they said? Is that the gist of what that message was? Basically, it's on hold, is what I remember hearing. So I don't know how much more there is to share, but they got server meshing in now, which to me was a blocker, right? Like to getting StarSim in the way that we hoped for in. So, getting server meshing in now, does that enable it to just start up from where it left off? Like, what does that mean for StarSim? And that in itself would be enough for me to want to hear even just 5 minutes. Hey, server meshing is in. Here's what we're talking about with StarSim now. Like, that would be great. I don't know. I hope though.
Yeah,
I don't know.
A Tony Z panel is the answer for me as well. And I don't think that he bundles well with panels that are at the beginning and at the end, where you're trying to. They're as much marketing panels as they are anything else. You're trying to start strong and finish strong. He's more of a narrative panel, and so I don't see where he fits in the middle of any of these other panels. The only place I see where you could talk about or have a piece of Tony Z is in the last panel, where you're talking about 1.0. And so I just don't think we're going to see him, and it's disappointing. That's one of the panels. That's one of the places I'd like to see. Now, my guess is to Abdi's point that 1.0 will include references that will let us know that, to Jade's point, 1.0 needs to be the floor for the rest of our experiences.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if they say, hey, now that, by the way, with this floor, now you're going to be hearing more from Tony because we have these fundamentals in place.
Yeah.
Then I guess I'm okay. But that's my answer as well to that question. The other question from Goki is the following. Do we expect to see Jax McCleary? He says with the SAG strike over, Jax McCleary. So, there's one panel that says, Dress to Kill says, including the return of a legendary friend from CitizenCon's past, right? I say that we could see Jimmy and Jax on the runway. Right? But do you all expect to see Jax McCleary back?
Jax is an IAE man, though, isn't he?
He is.
Is he a CitizenCon man or is he an IAE man?
He's an IAE man.
He's IAE, yeah. So
Yeah.
probably we'll see them there.
Yeah, I'm hoping they can bring him back.
Yeah.
So who would be a legend from CitizenCon's past then?
The Pioneer Man. If they bring back the Matthew McConaughey dude.
Oh, yeah.
They bring him back. Wait, does that make sense for that panel?
I mean, listen, base building. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Kind of a legendary friend from CitizenCon's past. That's for Dress to Kill, though. So
I don't know if it makes sense on fashion side.
Like who had high fashion or any real fashion in CitizenCon videos?
I don't know. I mean, what's her name from the Orison video? I can't remember her name, but the one who did the vlogger.
Are you talking about Molly? Molly? She was IAE too. She was IAE last year.
IAE too. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I don't know.
But I'm thinking, what if it's not in the universe person like Jax or Molly? What if it's somebody who had developed a lot of the fashion? What if it's Jay Lee?
That would be cool. If Jay Lee's back?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be dope. Because I mean, even in that video that you showed earlier at the start, Jay Lee was like, they have as much passion as we do. And Jay Lee was a lot of the heart, is a lot of the heart, and brought a lot of heart, I guess. So I don't know. Man, that would be dope.
Yeah.
That's a good thought, Jade. That's a good. I mean, I like Captain said, all of yours are, but I hadn't thought about that. That's.
Thank you. Yeah, because he did so much concept art. It made some amazing things, and I would love it if, what we see in that panel is here's the concept that Jay Lee made. Here's how it looks in the game. And by the way, you'll be able to wear this in 4.0.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. We're almost done. Pops in Space. Are you interested in learning more about the Stormwall and Boreal Stalker, even though there isn't a panel on fauna? Would you like to see any fresh wildlife for Nick, and so on?
Maybe it's the first panel. Like maybe that's the genesis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like, the whole idea of breathing new life into truly immersive worlds also means actual life in a lot of cases, right? So that would be your flora, your fauna. I'd expect to see, different plants that we don't have, different types of trees, maybe some giant mushrooms where appropriate, and then other creatures. We know that they're working on more than just the boreal stalker and the stormwall. So I would love to see other creatures. Oh, and the pyro crab, right? So yes, please, all of it. I'd love to see all of it.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that'd be so cool.
I think there sometimes are some meta integrations, right? If you remember last year, they would show different videos, right? And there's an opportunity for them to show whether it's base building or Brave New Worlds, social universe. They could show us flora and fauna integrations across all of those, right? And make it a little bit more an integrated experience of how that stuff is coming. But I think you're right in that if they're going to talk about it, right? I think Brave New Worlds is the place to talk about it, as well as potentially Star Citizen 1.0, right?
That's a really important reminder. You see all of these panels. These panels are not one speaker per panel or one subject per panel. These panels can oftentimes be split up to talk about multiple things that are encompassed within one subject. So
right.
I wouldn't pigeonhole one of these too hard. So I think that there's opportunity in each of these for for some of that nuance and some of that maybe extra that maybe isn't explicitly said in the description.
And then the final question from Admiral Kusanagi. You've talked about how many ships we may get at CitizenCon. What ships already in concept do you hope for? My answer is very quick on this. I'm an RSI guy. I'm getting everything that I want. I've been blessed. The Zeus CL is great to fly. Thank you very much, CIG. And the Polaris is coming to IAE because John Crew guaranteed it. So thank you again. I'm good. So what about you all? What about any other concept ships you're hoping for?
I'm going to go back to the Expanse. I would like to see some of that game loop, both the mining and refining put back into the hands of players, so that we're not reliant on stations for some of these things. Being able to run a mining operation out in the middle of Pyro, without having to have the fear of going like right back to a base because my Quantanium's about to make my ship explode, would be nice. I don't know if we haven't heard anything about it. So I don't know if it's even realistic to hope for the Expanse, but the Expanse feels like a really accessible, this is bringing people into refining as a gameplay loop. So yeah.
Yeah, I see in the chat, I see Orion, I see BMM, I see the
big ships.
I see the Gatak Raylan, which from a cargo standpoint makes sense, right? With 324's emphasis on cargo. Jade, what are your thoughts?
Right. I'm going to go in a different direction. Actually, there's two things, right? First, I got a rep for Origin. I would love to see the 600i rework. No, I do not expect it.
That would be nice.
Yeah, but the G12, it's not a ship, it's a vehicle, and it's relatively small. One would think that shouldn't be too far out, if they prioritized it.
That seems doable.
Yeah, but then switching gears to Crusader, the E1. Because, look, we're going to have these other systems. Well, let's get the passenger transport missions up and running.
That would be a nice game loop, huh?
Yeah. I mean, right now, there's a place in Stanton where you can land your Valkyrie and the NPCs actually get on and sit down. So some of that code is already in.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Tell me more about this. Never mind. I'll ask you about it later.
Yeah, afterwards. It's on Hurston.
Yeah,
and they just get up in there?
They just get up in there.
After dark.
It's not Soul Citizens
That's for After Dark, yep. So
no, that's Soul Citizens Extra Black.
Right. Anybody that's watching the show, come to our Discord afterwards if you want to know more about that.
The idea of the E1 and the Zeus ST dropping, and then the concept of the Genesis Starliner dropping because of all the other work happening and the opportunity that's come for passenger missions and things like that would be incredible. That would be very cool. There's a lot of people that are waiting for that non-combat game loop.
It would mean a lot for AI too. It would mean a lot for AI. Yeah, man, that'd be dope. Oh,
yeah,
very cool. That is the end of our show. Incredible.
That's a fun show.
Hype and Hopium. And this time next week, we will know it all.
I know, right? This time next week.
Yes.
This time next week, people in the UK will be sleeping?
Or we'll be up and partying.
Yeah, right.
Acid raves, acid cave raves.
Yes.
Acid cave raves.
Let's talk really quick about what's happening next for the Soul Citizens network of channels and opportunities. Abdi, if you'll talk a little bit about what Soul Talk is. I am very happy to be here. And what it is, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, Soul Talk is a show dedicated to the community. It's run by Fastcart FC. Everybody knows Fastcart, and if you don't know, now you know. He is the host of basically a talk show where you can come in to our Discord and be a part of the show. You get to have your say in the news of the week. So anything from machinima to any news that CIG puts out, we talk about and go over, and you have a chance to react to it live on Twitch and YouTube. So join us for that show at 9 p.m. ET, and be a part of it.
Outstanding. That is Soul Talk. And Jade, will you talk about Soul Voices, which is returning not next week, but the following week?
Sure. So Soul Voices is a show that airs on Saturday, and it will be back on October 26th, and it's at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's when you can come in, and the show is hosted by Griffin Gaming RPG, and have a one-on-one discussion, what's on your mind on a number of topics that are going on in the Star Citizen community.
I heard this last one was a good one. Y'all said y'all hyped up this last one. I need to go back and listen to the VOD.
Oh yeah, it's great.
It was great. Yeah, it was great. I highly recommend checking out the VOD for that one. So Soul Talk's on Thursdays. Soul Voice is typically on Saturdays, but not this coming Saturday. And then this coming Sunday, Soul Citizens will be at a special time doing a special thing. So I am very happy to be here. We'll be hosting the finale watch party of a portion of day 2. As I understand it, it's like the last panel, that Stars My Destination panel. There'll be a watch party for Soul Citizens that he will be streaming Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Right? 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Right? So instead of 7 p.m., which is when we normally start Soul Citizens, it'll be 7 a.m. and you'll get to hang out with the comedic genius and really explore what Star Citizen 1.0 ends up meaning, what CIG ends up saying to us about it. So come together with us next Sunday, Soul Citizens finale watch party, Sunday, 7 a.m. Eastern time. That's our show. We're very thankful for everybody that was here. I know that there were some membership from YouTube as well. If we didn't explicitly call you out, I apologize, but we're blessed and appreciative from our YouTube community for folks that have decided to join us there as well. Super excited for that. And for those of you who on Twitch who have decided to support Soul Citizens, thank you again in all the ways that you've done that. Super appreciative. We are better off that you help us build. And that's why we're here. So super excited for that. We're going to raid one of our Soul Team members, Yo-Yo Meg, who will also be with us in Manchester as part of the live Soul Team on site, CitizenCon 2954. We're going to raid her right now. When you get over there, please let Yo-Yo Meg know this was a Soul raid and where you came from, and elevate and celebrate Yo-Yo Meg. If you haven't supported Yo-Yo Meg's channel, please consider doing that. We'd be thankful for that as well. And we have a traditional sign-off that we do here. I don't see the raid up. Is the raid up? I just want to make sure that we are on track for that. Do I need to do it? I don't know. Griff behind the scenes. I'm going to ask Griff to make sure that the raid is up.
Griff says he's got it.
Meg. Okay. There we go. There it is. And we have a traditional sign off that we do here. And I'm going to ask Abdi and Jade to do a piece of it, and then we will raid Yo-Yo Meg. Abdi, we'll start with you.
All right. Peace.
Love.
And soul. Y'all take care.